Two strangers, a cruel survival challenge. 21 days naked in the Florida jungle, where ferocious wild boars, mountain lions stalking, and crocodiles waiting. Cross 40 years old female master distinguish forest vegetables and watch. 39 years old skilled trainer will have to face hunger and thirst, violent storms and dangerous nights. Can they get through and win $100,000? Or will become a meal for wild animals? Let's see the sweaty fight for survival. And this cool water, programs for people over 18 years old. If you are under 18, please do not watch. A couple of strangers, combining the wilderness in the most primitive way. There's not too much survival gear. They are even naked. 3 weeks in the wild. Successful challenger will receive a $100,000 prize. The male and female lead of this episode. He is also a loyal fan of the show. I think the preview of the VI is a bit unsatisfactory. You also listen. I've heard that participating can improve skills. Passive so signed up enthusiastically. But what's waiting for you? It's a confrontation with predators. Ferocious South America. Out. The biggest threat is the hot weather. Can you both succeed in the challenge? The two soon met at the designated location. Julia smiled with satisfaction as soon as she saw Adam, to face such a beautiful young girl. Adam was also embarrassed. To ease his embarrassment, he reminded Julia to get the map of Ra. Let's study it quickly. Adam thought the little forest wasn't far away. It has a good place to grow. Julia also agrees. On the way, two people can be easily contacted. The two collaborated to capture a baby Na, but faced the scorching sun. To people with symptoms of dehydration, fortunately, a source of water appeared in front of both of them. This is a happy thing, but both are very hopeful. Na was damaged by the high temperature recently, and this is not where you wanted to be. Adam also started complaining, but the challenge continues. They both decided to build a temporary shelter nearby. Before it gets dark, you're done. You to start the fire. No fire means no water. But after a long struggle, there's still no spark. Adam did something that surprised Julia. I actually drank my own urine. Julia said she wouldn't choose to drink, even when you're thirsty to death. It's late and you're not there. The sky was not beautiful and began to rain, but Julia's happy. It feels like the rain is falling at the right time. You can replenish water yourself. It's clear that what Adam just did wasn't necessary, with the experience of being in the rain last night. Baby. Prepare to find a place that can last a long time. Walked 40 minutes. A paradise appeared before your eyes. But before the hot weather, Adam has symptoms of dehydration. He's constantly vomiting and even has a stomachache. Very unstable emotionally. Julia was there to comfort me. I advise you not to give up. It's only Monday. You don't want to live alone in this hell. Take Julia's advice. Adam's mood stabilized. They also started to build the camp. Julia felt like lighting a fire. Where there is fire, there is water. Water is very important for you now. Very quickly the fire was kindled, so two people boil water to drink. It also helped Adam regain his confidence. Started building the camp. Even though the camp is over, but they're also tortured by mosquitoes at night. This made Adam feel very negative. Julia, I've had to deal with your negative emotions since yesterday. You are too tired. Facing Adam, I chose to withdraw from the game today. Julia didn't try to advise this time. It means that Adam gave up on the challenge and gave up on himself. Give up on yourself as a coward. But you still want to fight alone. Even though a lot of wood was prepared, but she's still a little scared to be alone at night. You can only hope it doesn't rain. You have no other way. In addition to trying to protect the flame from being extinguished, you're sad alone at night. This night has made you cry for your ex. Day by day, Julia can only maintain energy by eating cacti and small larvae. But the body needs more protein and calories. This time she turned her target to the little fish in the river. She make a fish trap and try her luck. But everything backfired. There's not even a feather. You don't give up, you stay persistent. Of course there is a harvest. The trap caught a small fish. What is right hip? Has added a lot of protein. But it's raining so hard at night. It was so cold that she shrank in the camp. Think about what happened last night. You were almost ready to give up. But because the prize money's almost gone, you choose to continue the challenge and decided to find something to eat. She found a lot of fruit on a palm tree not far away. She used all her strength and went to the tree. The tree is too tall, and she didn't have a stick long enough to sag down. Fortunately, there's a lot of fruit on the ground. You can eat a full meal. After eating, she also found a baby. This makes her glad to bring back the grill directly. She had a delicious roasted snake for lunch. After eating, you're ready to evacuate tomorrow. She made herself a pair of straw slippers. Like reaching an evacuation point, 6 kilometers of treacherous step to cross. The next day she left early. After hours of walking in the scorching sun, I finally saw the show car waiting. Take you home. Julia was excited in her heart. After so much suffering, you finally got the big prize. In the next section, male character, the heroine of this issue was taken to Celery, in Bulgari, dense thicket and steep canyons. With the arrival of autumn, the temperature will continue to drop to about 7 degrees Celsius. Foxes hide in the forest and wild boars are aggressive. And the wolves, if you are not careful, you will be eaten. If the player is Julia, she's been on a survival challenge for the audience. 14 days when you return. You want to find a way to make yourself stronger. Last time she almost fainted from hypothermia, because I can't stand the heat. I hope your friends can have an attitude. Never give up. This time the player is Paul. I love to survive in the wild. I went to prison for a few years, because of his youth and ignorance. I'd like to take this opportunity to bring home the grand prize, to marry a wife. I'm confident that no one in this program, I can take this challenge better than you. It was not long before the two of them met. I just met Julia and noticed Paul's potato. I was so embarrassed to look straight at her. She opened her mouth and laughed. After being reminded by Paul, she took the map of Ra and started researching. After a period of discussion, they decided to find water first. They both went into the forest. After a while they saw a river. But the way down is a little steep. You'd have to go around for more time. The sky is getting dark. You find a space and light a fire. Simple shelter for last night. The next day Julia was grateful for Paul's help. They both boil a pot of water to drink. Then Julia offered to build a shelter. But Paul said he felt pretty good last night. It doesn't matter whether you build a shelter or not. Finding food is the most important thing. This made Julia die. You don't know why you didn't settle down and get lost. New day 2. Julia's on the side looking for wood. Paul found fish in the river. You said you started jumping into a trap. This unfortunately injured his potato. I also intend to give up. This made Julia very sad. You don't want to live alone in this wilderness. Like last time I joined, even if you say beautiful little things. Paul still refused. After Paul left, Julia planned to build a shelter for himself. There is no companion. Julia even made herself a straw mattress to lie on. But you still feel a little cold. You can only rely on food to replenish. The fish trap left behind when Paul left. There's not even a single fish here. Fortunately, I found some fruit growing. Pick some and bring back to the cooking camp for vitamin supplements and minerals. I didn't expect it to taste so good. After being cooked, temperature drops by more than 10 degrees at night. It was so cold at night that I couldn't sleep. The next day she was very tired. But you still don't want to give up. She wiped her tears and made herself a new bed. Break it. It's Friday and I'm going to go fishing. But the fish are cunning. They all successfully dodged your attacks. It makes you desperately want to go back to camp. Unexpected in the next second fire again wide land. Fortunately, the crisis was resolved in time. This makes you almost lose the confidence to persevere. Fortunately at a critical time, a handsome man appeared in front of her. This makes you glad to say nothing. After being known, the program sends more male players to Cho. Julia said she was over 7. With my teammates being male, I hope this time is reliable. Other players have also participated in this competition, because you couldn't win the prize last time. This time I want to try again. I heard Julia say that. You said you definitely won't give up. This makes Julia stare at you. She was always afraid of being left alone again. When Kate saw the scene in front of her, I decided to change everything. When I woke up the next day, you're both very energetic. Decided to rebuild the shelter. Due to the carelessness of the two, land fire is wide and becomes very intense. The entire program staff quickly run to the rescue. Even firefighters were called in to put out the fire. After 2 hours the fire was finally lit. The battle between the two will continue. This time, both decided to build a shelter in place. There's nothing to burn here. After a long time working, they both finally built a tent. That night they both developed their passive skills. The next day Julia found some raspberries. It adds a lot of energy to both. But I didn't expect the temperature to drop below 0 at night, to people freezing and sharing warmth. But it's no use. But Julia is grateful for your help. Raspberry simply no longer meet the body's needs. So the decision was to go get some protein for Julia. So you've completed Paul's trap. There will be no results until tomorrow. Julia cooks a pot of berry soup for the people. Kate tried a piece. I think it's better to cook with fish. It was so cold at night that Julia collapsed. Hunger still eats away at your soul. The bad news is that the trap is still empty. Fortunately, the sand caught a crab. A little relief for Julia. And then they decided to reinforce the shack. This way Julia can rest comfortably. Like the temperature at night is even colder than before. Julia was unbearably cold. You don't see hope anymore. Say goodbye to the sand. You leave the right place to get this wrong. At night it starts to rain. The rain is cold and lonely. This makes you choose to give up. Due to the cold to say no, I share the warmth. I didn't complete the challenge this time. In the next section, a male and a female survived the wilderness. Found a cannibalistic village. Both of them even climbed up there to see if there was AI there. I don't care if it's dangerous or not. Is it safe or not? The challenge site is in the Okvango Plains of Africa. There are very dangerous animals here. If the challenge is successful, can get a $100,000 reward. Player name Alex is a geologist. Normal. If you have nothing to do, you like to be outdoors, and can make a fire in the wilderness. My friends all say you're like that. I was determined to enter the contest, to prove myself. The female player is Jennifer, 31 years old. She's an outdoor climbing guide. The best is to climb all kinds of mountains. Very rich survival skills. She said it's been 31 seasons. But even the sun's hand. Never touched it either. I hope the program team can arrange it for you, a strong male partner, not long after we met in the open ground. Jennifer is very pleased with Alex. I can't help but open to mouths laughing happily. You want both the prize money and the people. Alex realized your intentions. You said you were an LGBT person. I'm not interested in you. He used to work part-time at the gay men's club. Jennifer just heard her face change. The two of you pick up the prep kit and go. Walking for hours. We finally reached the river. I'm still looking at the scenery. Suddenly I discovered a village. I don't know if this is tribal territory, eating human flesh or not. Still curious to check it out. Love one. There's no shelter available. They both built one underneath. Sit down and light a fire on Monday. The stem, leaves, and roots of the gunflower can be eaten. So both of you come to the dress and should plan on taking some. Alex is still taking lunch seriously. Bitten on the leg by a leech hidden in the water. At a later time, I realized there was a leech on my leg. You take the pain and directly jerk it off. However, the leech bite is bleeding. Back at camp, he's sitting in a shelter eating guns. But the leech bite doesn't heal as quickly. And it's very susceptible to bacterial infections. I don't know how long you can take it. Time to the fourth day. Alex felt his body empty and stand unsteady. I know my body very well. Besides, last night the leech bite was swollen. Not yet. Take a few steps out the door. He breathed half his life. Maybe it's an unhealed wound, leading to a bacterial infection. Then $100,000, life is still more important. After hugging Jennifer affectionately, I got in the car and withdrew from the competition. If you come back like this, you'll be ridiculed by your friends. You and the doctor. You still haven't reached your full potential. Break it. But the challenge must continue. Because you know you're here for $100,000. If there are no men, there is still money. The gun you picked up a little left. So I decided to get some more wood. You have to live here for more than 2 weeks. The most important thing is food. After you've cleared out the shelter, go out looking for food. Go under the tree with your head up. She found a blue knot on the branch. I just jumped up and held my baby down to talk. Baby Na was directly caught, unable to move. Skin peeling and bone removal. Just wrap it up and set it on fire for a few minutes. Take a bite and try a crispy piece. She said if only she could sprinkle some salt on it. It will be much better now. The 9th day of the challenge. The camp's food supply is running out. You still have to find something to eat. She thought of the bog fishing. Do a simple fishing rod and get in the water. Just got into the water. The hippopotamus across the street stared at her furiously. She hurried to the shore in fear. Then she went to the Aboriginal hut to bask in the sun. If I could eat right now. Certainly the most comfortable life. Challenge period to day 15. Jennifer hasn't achieved anything in a few days. Every step now feels like falling. When you desperately want to give up the challenge, she found the body of a wildebeest. The hyena's guts out. Fortunately, the front part of the antelope is intact. This means you'll have meat to eat next. She cut off for parts of the antelope's leg, which she was stretching. The color of the blood shows that it's edible. But the meat was rotten, but not completely rotten. As long as you can tell the difference, pieces of meat. This will make you comfortable for the next few days. You go back to the shelter. Just get some meat. And bake in a pan by fitting a pot. After baking, you couldn't wait. Everyone. Now you just need 10 firewood. You can stay until the challenge is over. By the 20th day, she had eaten all the meat. This time, she went to the antelope body to get some bone marrow. Unfortunately, the body was dragged away by other animals. I can only look recently, find out if there's anything to eat or not. You're lucky you picked up an antelope leg. Take it back to camp and bury it directly in the fire. Just like that, you take the marrow inside her bone. Based on bone marrow, finally on day 21. She sat by the fire waiting for morning. After replenishing the water, get water to put out the fire. After opening the map, confirm the direction. She began her journey to the evacuation point. Along the way, she was careful not to stumble. At the right time, you're still wondering where the evacuation point is. She saw the Titanic of the show. It's moving from far away. With the arrival of the CA slave, you've successfully completed the challenge and take home the $100,000 bonus. Congratulations to Jennifer on overcoming the challenge. In the next section, a male and a female stranger join. Survival in the wilderness 21 days. There's no food, no drinking water, no clothes. Face the aggressive and dangerous jungle. They will survive. What is the challenge location? It's located in the Black Swamps of Florida. This area covers a very large area, full of diverse wetlands. About 200 Semino Indians live here. They've survived in this wasteland for years. Here, wild boars are extremely territorial, and the Florida mountain lion at tremendous speed. The aggressive crocodiles. The guest is 40-year-old Rose. You're a primitive mountain dweller. You can distinguish between different types of vegetables. That's your strength. The guest is a 39-year-old Wash. You're a survival enthusiast. I've been training in the wilderness since I was 16. Proficiency in survival skills. Being a hunter is my strength. Wait until the meeting point, both sealing as if to meet. After enjoying each other's bodies, the two officially started the challenge. In such a harsh environment, your first priority is to find a camp safely into the swamp. After a few hours of moving, they finally found a hole in the forest. After the exchange, they both decided to set up camp here. First, build a tree. Then use palm leaves to make the roof and the two walls. That way, even when it rains, it doesn't get wet. After the work is done, both wax fire groups. Take a stick and burn it with flint on a steel bar. With a warm fire. You can both sleep well tonight. At night, both Chun wished to go to the camp and prepare to sleep. But what they didn't expect was, right after that, outside the camp there was the sound of prey footsteps. Facing such a primitive environment, no one knows what will happen next. Just as the mountain lion is about to attack, Watch screamed and chased the beast in time. It will be hard for both of you to sleep tonight. The next morning, after last night, Watch prepare as a spear for self-defense. When you're done, you have to find protein. Right after that, I found Na by following the corner of the forest. Direct attack with spears. Then remove raw and bake on fire. Pick it up and taste the delicious aroma. With this protein, you have to be prepared to do something big. There's a lot of streams around here for hunting, so the Wash use is the materials around it. Knit some cages. When the fish is ready to go hunting, throw it into the stream. Whether you can catch fish or not depends on the will of God. But it wasn't long before a strong wind emerged. According to your experience, this is the beginning of the storm. Now their camp has only a thin layer of palm leaves. I want to experience weather like that. It's obviously not very realistic. Soon there was heavy rain in the forest. There's no solid shelter. Now, your first priority is to keep the fire burning. Wax go out to find more branches to avoid the rain. And Rose is in camp to keep the fire safe. Waiting until near evening, the heavy rain is still going on, even though they both tried to protect the shelter. But the rain is still coming down from the roof. A swamp has appeared right under their feet. No one knows what will happen next. Wait until early morning on Tuesday. Both exhausted after the rain all night. After getting your spirit back, go back to the stream to check the fish cage. It's like it's empty, and there's nothing to harvest. Time passed until the 7th day. You've been hungry too long to go hunting. This tree is called kidney fern, in roots that contain edible carbohydrates. Although it's not very good, but at least it's food. Wax found some palm fiber to trap fish. You use the silk inside raw as a net, and then use the tree's branches as a frame. After we finished, we both went hunting. Although the fish is small, it's also protein. Except for small fish, they both found a lot of insects in the forest. Take it out and enjoy it carefully. The taste is hard to describe. While enjoying a wax meal, suddenly found traces of prey outside the camp. After follow the clues, very fast a 9-bell tattoo appeared in their eyes, but is preparing to arrest. It was because of Rose's mistake that the prey escaped. I saw the prey disappear. This brings both of our lives to the bottom. Time passed until the 18th day. What? The man on patrol suddenly spotted his prey. You take the spear and chase. And so a wild boar fell into my hand. Face this delicious food. To people cut it into pieces and make a dirty skewer after tasting the delicious aroma. This feeling is simply armpit pain. With these high-end foods, too, who successfully completed this challenge and get $100,000 in prize money. A survival lesson analysis. The power of teamwork. Clip details. Watch and rock together. Hunting campfire car. When the rock carelessly let the wild boar escape. Wax, we don't blame each other, we find solutions. Trust is the key to survival. In the wild, mental and physical support. Help overcome adversity. To danger from nature detail clip. Stormy night flooded camp. Lion stalking right outside the lesson. Always be prepared for the worst. Even with skills, you can still be knocked down by nature at any time. Creative BA in food potential. Clip details. Boss in fishing cage. Rose picked up the roots of the temporary fern. Lesson. Make the most of the surrounding resources in the wild. Flexibility is more important than strength. 4. Persevere to the last minute. Clip details. Hungry and tired, they don't give up. And finally caught the boar on the 18th day. Luck often comes to those who don't give up. 80% of the 7 people who lose in the wild are desperate. Not for lack of skill. Advice from Program 1. Water and fire priority. No fire. You don't have clean water. Not warm and cannot drive away wild animals too. Don't underestimate the weather. A rain that can cause you to cool down. In just a few hours. Learn to recognize plants. 50% of CAs die in the wild. Related to plant poisoning. 4. Psychological stability. Fear makes you lose your judgment. Take a deep breath and calmly solve the problem. Nature is not the enemy. It's a respectable opponent. It's not by force that we win, but with wisdom and patience. Do you dare to challenge yourself like Wexerit? Please share your thoughts.